It's just the nature of the map that makes it really difficult to be consistent on it. We'll see, though, what comes of it. Grayhound needs to buck the trend at the very least in order to secure their spot in the upper bracket finals.
Molter and Sicko going to be forced away from the site. Just trying to buy up enough time for both Dick, Stacy, and Dexter to get in the tunnels. The bomb hasn't been planted yet, but it is starting to go down now. Dexter with a tap is going to get 2. That could be enough for the retake and make it a 3rd with Sicko. But HSK and Stacks, they're holding on for dear life. Decent crossfire being established, but they're both the walking wounded, the walking dead. And now MVP going to concede another pistol round. They at least get the bomb plant though, Vendetta, so they've got some choices coming up.
Yeah, they got that working for them, and we did see a couple of purchases where, whether it's an SG or an AK, surrounded by some upgraded pistols and whatnot. Could do a lot of damage with it, absolutely. Wouldn't be too surprised if we saw that coming out from South Korean team, especially given the map, right? Just gives yourself, or you're giving yourself a lot of opportunities to do a whole lot with this. Stacks and Zion are going to be the ones wielding the SG scout on Zeta, and Zeph with the Galil. So this is a pretty damn strong buy. Grayhound actually opting for more rifles than what they usually do.
It's really not that far behind Grayhound Gaming's buy.
I'd actually take it over theirs.
Yeah, it's incredibly powerful. Urkaz with 3 in quick succession, though.
That's both SGs gone as well.
Be stuck behind the smoke if they want to push out. Zeph takes the brunt of the damage, but the trade is going to go in their favor. However, they've still got 2 more Grayhound Gaming players to deal with, and one of them is Malta, who is making a move around the back of T-Spawn. He's looking for the flank.
Zeph's already onto this, though. He has an inkling that it might come through. The problem for him is that he's on 2 HP, so that MP9 is going to be so difficult to deal with. A lot of this is going to come down to who wins out the initial duel, Zeta or Dexter. Weapon-wise, you would favor Zeta. There you go. He gets tagged on pretty heavily, though, so Malta can do significant damage here, even with an MP9 on distance.
This is where it becomes a little bit more tenuous, though. You're going to switch across to the scout.
Yeah,
Zeph
thinks better of it.
Yeah, maybe the call came through. Well, hold on, the last player is very low. Grenade could be dishing the damage. Lands just close enough. You never know with CS nades, but 2 HP didn't really give him much room for error.
I love the fact that we cut into the picture-in-picture of Neil celebrating so hard that the headset's about to fly off his head. Urkaz, what a hero he is in that one, finding 3. Pretty much does everything for them. It looks looking so good for MVP, getting out of cave initially. The first defender on the side of ground had no idea anybody was made it or had made it all the way to blue boxes.
Yeah, I mean, that 3K was everything in that round.
Yeah.
It allowed them the chance, the opportunity in a 2v2 to get the clutch in the first place.
But again, I'm liking the buyout of MVP here. They get the bomb plant down. They do so much damage to Grayhound. You want to go for this every single time. Better buy than what they had in the last one as well. Nobody having to sacrifice at all. 2 Galils, 2 SGs, and the scout on Zeta once more. The one thing they just need to keep in mind is they need to be very efficient with the 2 smokes that they have if they want to use it for a long cross or if they want to set up somewhere else. But they can't just willy-nilly use it for something they're not going to commit to. It makes their life so much harder. Zap spotted out, but actually wins out the duel in terms of damage. Nobody dies, but you're happy about that. Oh, Zine. It's a difficult task dealing with Dick Stacy, and he's going to mow down 2. There we go. The returns comes in. Back and forth we go. Urkaz still down to 7 HP, so health favoring MVP at the time being. But look at this here. Urkaz sneaky position. Is he spotted out by Zeph? Yes, he is.
Oh, Dexter. 50 seconds because of how abrupt all those kills came down. But he's going to be moving into the scout, so takes the tag. Flashbang over. Repeak, and Zeta nails him on the second time of asking. So the 4 spies keeping the heat dial to 11 is going to yield the first break in this map.
And this time MVP are, I guess, not on the receiving end of getting a reset after winning or after having pretty decent luck. This is what we talked about on Mirage. They had so many opportunities of getting into a stage of the game where Grayhound were more or less forced to 1 solid buy and then everything else becomes a 2-for-1 chance on the side of MVP. Now they're back at it again. Pistols on the side of Grayhound. Zeta, don't think he actually spotted anyone coming into lower, but luckily for them, they have HSK posted up here.
And I bait HSK into a potential one-tap. Not going to be happening. Grayhound playing up close with Dick Stacy. Smoke's going to allow him this position, but once it clears, he really is not going to have much to work with. Still drills the headshot. There's a boost up, and Urcast is going to lay Zeta to rest, but the bomb does get planted, so still going to have to come in with a retake. The flashbang is so very powerful, and the low stacks on 2 HP is able to hold the line a little bit longer. There were chances for Molt that really should be landing one of those shots, but Dexter's going to help him out. Any bullet on Stacks and he is gone. They don't have a HE, but they've got a flash and a smoke to play with. Spray is on point to start things off, and he's looking for more. He's looking to tap himself into victory, but it's Dexter that is going to get the final say in the round. It's going to be close. He doesn't have a kit, but should have it.
And I was about to say MVP, they actually, well, avoid the disaster of getting reset, but now back at it again. That is far from ideal. And again, it's them rushing. They don't necessarily need to get the bomb plant down. They still have so much time on the clock. They can wait for the smoke to fade. They can deal with Dick Stacy in a timely manner. They don't have to put Zeta out of commission by having him force the bomb plant, which allows Urcast to find the frag as well. So many things that they can do differently just by displaying more patience. And one of the things we saw, at least out of the economy spectrum of it, is the fact that MVP have been pretty patient about how they go about things. They need to just further that into their actual gameplay. Stack's doing an admirable job here, but down to 5 HP, doesn't really dare to reload, and he knows that as well. He's going to have to land the taps, and it doesn't pan out. Dexter once again coming up clutch. Another buy coming in, and again, you'd favor the T-side buy here, but you can't really reliably go about it this way for too long. This time they're going to be denied early long control as well. So they're going to have to find something new to abuse on the side of Grayhound.
And I mean, if they get denied in this round, that is going to be the end of their force buying streak. And then Grayhound can start to put some serious money and momentum together. So MVP, they know that this is a pressure cooker round, especially as they're already trailing by a map, their choice of Mirage.
Not even any sort of split here, just straight up out mid to B with all 5. It's a nice smoke down from Dexter. Hello? There we go. Okay. Super late response to actually deal with Malta, and he's going to net himself a second kill off of that. Bomb's going to go down once again, but the weaponry is not ideal for MVP here.
Molotov just in time as the smoke cleared, otherwise it would have been extinguished.
Dick Stacy with an MP9 having to retake from upper is really, really tough. At least he can keep Stack's attention towards the area.
On Zeta. We know exactly where he is. He's about to be overwhelmed and enveloped by counter-terrorists. And a bomb plant, again, will keep it ticking, but they've lost all their weapons.
And this time they don't do more damage than, well, what they need to. 3 players surviving on the side of Grayhound is going to give them a stronger buy than what they've had pretty much the entirety of the game, even though they've been winning out round after round here at this stage. MVP not actually going to opt in for more force buys there. Not often you see this kind of a push out of, well, any T side ever. 5 players through mid, nobody actually putting any pressure up from upper. Becomes a bit of a labored one as well. I'm curious to see why, or curious as to why it took so long for them to actually react to Malta as well. It's not necessarily that they were affected by flashes too much.
No nades left to speak of. MVP for Desert Eagles. Looking to carve out some headshots if they're going to get onto either of these sites. It is pretty standard. I mean, they've given up mid control. But Dexter can watch from the window on B's past the scaffolding.
I really like how Grayhound actually solved that pressure from mid as well. Dexter just dropping the smoke inside a window, waiting for people to push through. Even if he does get taken out by people running through doors, it closes off one of the avenues into the bomb site, which is usually the big issue you have as a CT. Some damage being exchanged.
This is the position I was talking about, but now that Dexter feels like a straight eagle round could very well end this entire round overall. Ooh. He's going to be very apprehensive about re-peaking. Now feels like he has to take the initiative. Moltrim with the M4. Zeta's going to be pushing him. That's the bomb dropped additionally. And that's the round done. Zeph not going to be able to get it done, but there were a couple of moments then where you started to worry a little bit for Grayhound against just Deagles.
For sure. Dexter going down, as you said. He was afraid of that straight eagle bullet. That finds him eventually. Sicko going down 2 over towards A. Can create some balance, but Malta's been a bit of a rock here over towards B. Getting swift kills, repositioning, and not giving any sort of opportunity for a refrag or a trade on the side of MVP. It's exactly what you want. Set up with the op. See if he can be the deciding factor here for MVP to get them back on the board.
Hasn't really had the level of impact that we've been looking for. I mean, in Mirage he had a couple of moments, but they were fleeting. But this, the AWP's paradise. You're expecting to see something special. That being said, Sicko has been on fire this entire tournament, so it's a tantalizing prospect. One that MVP are going to need to start winning out on, because this feels very, very reminiscent to how Mirage started.
Yeah.
5-1, chances for MVP, not able to jump on top of them.
We all know how that panned out. Didn't go the way of MVP as Grayhound stole away the map pick. The South Koreans.
Urkas just waiting for some sound cues to call for the rest of his team. Has an incendiary too, which he can underarm, I should say, up on the catwalk side.
They're actually just going to commit. No nades, no real setup, no even flashes. So Sicko had a golden opportunity. Still no follow-ups on it. No Molotovs, no nothing. They're going to make it onto the side, and then they're going to get the bomb plant down. So there's a chance here. But they're giving Sicko so many opportunities to find frags. He's not going to miss a whole lot of them.
Honestly, Sicko missed quite a few shots in this round, but it was so brazen from MVP that it doesn't really make a huge amount of difference.
Yeah.
As you say, no utility really expended on the approach. You're just giving free opportunities across to an AWPer that you know is so very effective with the gun. It's a bit of a strange one.
It really is. They had 2 Molotovs and a smoke there once the bomb plant goes down, and you don't really see any of them actually being used. The positioning of the players that had utility left weren't ideal by any means, and that's something that you have to account for as well. You need to realize where you find yourselves in after plant positions if you're MVP. Getting the bomb plant is nice and all, but you can do that all game and still lose 16-1 at this stage.
Sicko going to change up the pace, going to be peeking through mid pretty aggressively. Did see a couple of players darting over on the T side of catwalk, so he's going to back away. And mid control now trying to be established. There's a smoke down, which was from the cross previously.
Oh,
Dexter with the SG. It's so very deadly on maps like Dust2, and he's got a 4th. He was fully flashbanged. I need to see that from his perspective, because that could have been absolutely nutty. A 4K from that position is just godlike. And now Stack's going to have to try and fend off a 1-on-4. Good luck to you, sir. I mean, it is a difficult site to retake, but it's so heavily stacked against him. Solid start, but he's going to get re-peek from tunnel any second now. And it's Dick Stacey that puts the final nail in the coffin. 7-1.
Oof. This is not panning out for MVP. Again, they get the ideal setup as well, right? You have Sicko not actually retreating back towards the B-bomb site. Malta was set up for a CT side setup that was focused on A, so it's Dexter all alone. He was able to mow down 3 people in mid just immediately, and not even the response from Upper Dark is enough to deal with him. Heavily favored by GD.bet as well. Understandable with the kind of run they have. No real reason to be worried at this stage for themselves. Again, if MVP are going to limit themselves to just getting close, then you can just go about your business as usual. You're happy about that. You can win every single round in a 1v1, and as long as it gets you a W, that's really all that matters.
Well, judging from the players, it seems that we may be in the midst of a technical timeout. But yeah, I mean, as you say, I mean, this is really dangerously getting close to a repeat performance from Mirage, where maybe MVP can start to string some rounds together. I think on Mirage it was like 5-1 and went to 6-4 or 3, and it just never really settled for MVP. No, this is even more deadly now.
Yeah, it absolutely is, especially because the economy's not being built up because MVP are continuously buying into it. And to be fair, they've had justification to do so as well. They've always been at a precipice of breaking Grayhound, but not being able to do so, this is just going to become worse and worse.
Well, 12-5, Dexter with 4 kills in the previous round into round 9. MVP going to have a decent buy, but it doesn't include an AWP. So Sicko is still going to have run of the litter in mid. Flashbang out of doors, but it's only the one player, and it's going to be Zine.
Oh.
He's going to grenade, going to be landing by his feet. Doesn't do anywhere near as much damage as I thought it would.
Sees go nades. Sicko's actually going to miss the opportunity, though. That's a big one. A bomb side open. Aircast and Dick Stacy in for a bit of a rough time. Zine actually going to win at the duel, and finally things are working out for MVP here.
Better late than never. Malta and Dexter perched up in exit frag positions, and they think better of it. They just want to play their own economy as opposed to try and dwindle away MVPs. Dexter's still in a spot where he could easily get fragged out if he's not careful. That's a good flashbang, effective, allows the cross. Molotov down to stop Dexter pushing up. And you get peeked once again. They can't afford to throw too many weapons away here, MVP, and they've just put 2 downrange. The bomb going to detonate, not going to affect any players in pit, but that's 2 kills that come in. Going to make it sting on the rebuy.
It was very true, but MVP right now just have to feel happy about the fact that they've won a round.
Sure, yeah.
Step by step. Problem for them right now is that Grayhound just got to the point where they can actually feel a little bit more comfortable with their economy too, right? You've been able to build up a little bit with the consecutive round wins and not getting forced into 1v1s repeatedly. If this round win would have come in 2 rounds ago, obviously it's a completely different story for MVP. They look to break Grayhound, go on a bit of a run themselves, deny an AWP on Sicko for a significant amount of time. Not being able to take advantage, though, it's gonna be tough for them to swallow, but at least they've gotten a round now, and we see what it does for them once they are able to win at the duels.
And denying the AWP is going to make mid-control much more tenable, but also if they decide to keep going for these catwalk pushes, it mainly is Sicko that's the one and only line of defense that they have to deal with on the approach. And yeah, he's missed quite a few shots, but he's also
hit a
had
fair few.
MVP, you know, caught in 2 minds. Do we push or do we stay?
Yeah.
That indecision has cost them dearly.
Oh.
Heavy damage inflicted at the start of the round, though, to Zeta. You know, thinking about pushing behind it, but the smoke is going to be in their eyes, so they can't afford to go through that into a potential crossfire.
Dick Stacy close up by Long. He's got Urkus to back him up as well. The initial fight for Long just didn't quite happen, but seems like we're going to have a redo of it. This time, though, the positioning from the CTs are going to be tough to deal with here. They don't, fortunately for MVP, there's no additional flash to come in from the sight side of things.
They checked the wrong angle.
Yep. The doubling up is working just as you want if you're the CT side.
And it still hasn't been dealt with yet either. HSK caught with a nade up. That's the bomb dropped in Zeta. 1 on 5. They get around and then instantly get brutalized. No kills, no hope. And Urkas is going to peek out and get Zeta in the back. It's a secondary AWP picked up if they want it. The South Koreans just, they can't string anything together.
Really can't. And again, it's that notion of being close but no cigar, right? It's really what it's felt like throughout the series here for MVP. We're not going to get too far doing that. CT side on Grayhound looking excellent for the time being.
Yeah, they decide against the second AWP, fair enough. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Rifles give them a lot more versatility, and it's MVP that decide, let's turn it up a little bit. Let's go a bit quicker. Let's change the tempo. Unfortunately, though, they've run straight into Sicko, who's also switched it up. And Urkas, who's got the spray in effect. Double headshots, can't get a third, but the damage has been inflicted. They are hemorrhaging players. And Zine may be resigned to another round for Grayhound Gaming. They're going to be able to at least keep Dick Stacy alive a little bit longer.
Smoke's going to give him some wiggle room. At least that's a perfect nade.
The problem is, as soon as the smoke goes down, they know exactly what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, well, let's just carpet bomb him.
Works out pretty nicely. Sign actually makes it out to long there without too much of an issue, but it's just complete capitulation from Grayhound, right? They refused to even fight for it, focused on catwalk. That worked out swimmingly. And Sign just didn't have anyone to shoot at, even though he was far forward up. Couldn't actually get any additional pressure put on the CTs, couldn't get a trade because they're a bit of a meat grinder. MVP might be running out of time here. Tactical pause to talk things through. And again, it's not necessarily been that their approach has been wrong. I think just on an individual note, they're not really living up to the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the duels are all going the way of Grayhound. Also, Zeta hasn't had very many AWPs to play with because their economy has constantly been in this weird state of flux with force buys.
When he's had it, he hasn't really done much with it
exactly,
either.
And that's kind of how it felt. Other than the 1v3 clutch that he pulled off on Mirage, didn't really seem like he had a huge amount of impact in the first map either. He's got a scout at least. Maybe can do some damage. I mean, Dust2, one of the maps where scouts are seen the most frequently.
They need to get something done pretty soon. If Grant gets to double figures, obviously we're looking at best case scenario for MVP being a repeat of the Mirage result. Arcast posted up in mid as well. Just waiting for any sort of sound cue here. Flash comes out from Malta.
Ooh, okay, Zeph. Gonna put a cat amongst the pigeons, and now I'm gonna look to charge straight across to the B side. That grenade is gonna chip away multiple players. M4 in the hand of Malta. Spray in with 2, make it 3, and the round will follow.
Malta's been so secure over on that B bomb side. Actually, hasn't really mattered who Grayhound puts there. If it's Dexter alone, if it's Malta, who ends up being alone initially, both of them have just been able to deliver time and time again. So if anything from the side of MVP, where you can feel that you haven't really gotten a whole lot of return for your investment, it's been over towards that B bomb site, which is a bit of an issue considering the fact that they've had their definite troubles towards A as well.
And another round without an AWP.
Might just want to change up the tempo here. And again, as we talked about, Zeta not really being able to make his impact on the game with the AWP in hand. Not getting into the situations where you can just line people up and plop them down.
But it's just so strange for me. If you're going to let Dust2 slip through in the best of 3, surely you've got to have an AWPer that is in prime confidence to pick it up whenever possible, even if it's at the expense of armor and nades, like glass cannon it, you know. You're not going to see Kenny S or Azaiwu pick up an SG over an AWP when given a chance on Dust2.
That's very true. VP, though, back to mid control we go. They've been giving a lot of real estate to work with here, so they can't really argue or can't really fault that.
It's all a ruse. Flashbang's over. It's going to be B again. They have had a couple of chances, but again, it's Monk at the back of the site in the same position. Dexter, spray with the SG, going to get 3 spins around nearly a 4th. A lot of damage inflicted to Stacks. Plenty of flashbangs on their utility belt collectively for Grayhound Gaming, so they can go in for this retake.
No smokes from Molotov, though, for the T side here to fend them off. They're going to have to, well, do it with weapons. It's going to be dicey. No Molotovs for Grayhound this time around, though.
Zion's about to get pushed also from Sicko at the top of the windows down to Stacks, and he finished off by Urcast. It was Dexter that did all the damage, though, in this round. Kept the dream alive. The win streak continues.
Yeah, I'm really not a big fan of what we're seeing MVP do. Every time they've gone towards B, Malta or Dexter, doesn't matter who, rarely been a combination, but at least one of the two come up big with 3 frags or more, time and time again. So you've never been able to take the site cleanly. You're not in sync enough to actually get the right timings for players pushing it through window, and also having the upper dark players have an impact. So I don't know what you expect to do. I mean, if you're banking everything on getting a 2v3 retake or afterglance scenario, then that's a really bad game plan. Sign's not going to get the drop on Sicko out towards Cave as well. So one of the very few things that MVP found some success with early on has been taken away from them.
They've just had a toolbox that's been completely empty of plays, MVP. There doesn't seem to be a plan B either. We've seen tactical timeouts deployed for them over the last 2 maps, and nothing really seems to have changed. Again, take nothing away from Grayhound Gaming. They have played a very solid half of Counter-Strike, but MVP have just not been at that level that we were expecting to see.
That's very true.
I love how unpredictable Urcast is. Well, he's played so many different positions and so many different angles. He's like 17 and 6 with 130 ADR.
Think back to the start of the game as well. How many of those rounds or how many of those frags were so impactful? The 3K he had on long as well against one of the first few force buys we saw out of MVP. They could have very easily toppled ground completely. So that it ends up giving them a chance to fight back and actually get off to this run that we've seen, preventing MVP to get a good start.
Again, no utility preceding a push. Sicko is going to take that kill every single day. There's another one. Turns his attentions back onto long. It's more of the same. We sound like broken records, Vendetta, but I mean, there's not really much to go off here.
I mean, you can only report on the news that happen, right? And MVP are doing the same thing over and over again without too much success. So there's not going to be a whole lot of variation in what we can say about it. That's the sad part, because you would have imagined that with all the timeouts we've seen, with all the real estate that they've been given by Grayhound as well, that they're going to try something different, but it's continuously giving Sicko the initial opportunity to get a frag. It's been a bit 50-50 whether or not he's been able to make the connection or not, but it's not at the fault of, you know, him being pressured by utility in any sort of opportunity.
Flashing through mid, gonna at least get a double stack of smokes in the side. Is anyone gonna watch the push? Is Urcast just going to be able to come straight out and get a bunch of kills? And it's Dexter that takes it in! It's 4 kills! Using every bullet in the magazine. Such efficiency, MVP. I've been sent packing. They're getting destroyed.
But how many times are we going to see them fall for the same thing? They funnel themselves. They have the majority of their players walking through a window. At this, yeah, we're a broken record, but I kind of want to break it in pieces and just never mention it again. But for now, we're going to have a bit of a breather, 1.5 minutes before we get to see the conclusion of Dust2. So
Well, MVP started the tournament struggling, and it seems like that is going to continue. They did have a couple of upward trajectory moments, but 13-2 pretty much paints the picture perfectly. It could have actually been more one-sided in favor of Grayhound. They've already got a 16-0 win this tournament. They could have potentially had 2.
they've been so dominant in pretty much every matchup they've played. They haven't faced too much adversity on their road to the majors so far. And they're already, well, eyeing up an upper bracket finals here in the playoffs. There we see Dexter closing out the very last round. He did this quite a few times. They have set protocols on the side of Grand as to how they want to deal with B splits. Put down the same smokes or Molotovs every single time, and MVP keep funneling themselves into the same window over and over. Kind of curious, actually, if anybody's got the head count on how many people have died in window from MVP over that first half, but it's definitely in the high high teens. Although, must-win pistol round, and Sicko's gonna go down at the very least, and Seth with a follow-up as well. So 2 frags for him to get them off to a hot start.
It's more like the crisp aim that we were expecting from the South Koreans. Hopefully much more to come. Oh. What a shot by Dick Stacy, mid-air. Clay pigeon shooting, smack Zion in the face.
So unnecessary from MVP as well. Seth's gonna get a 3rd. Luckily, they do close out the round, but there's no real reason. Okay, so if you want to look at a positive thing, it's great that Zion waits for one of his teammates to do a double peek, but you already have a 2-mid advantage. You can play this from spawn. You can force the Ts to actually have to cross. You don't know if they have utility. You don't know what the situation is. It also allows for the rest of your team to rotate over into a proper position where you can set up for a retake. Instead, you give them an opportunity to get into a 3v3. It's great shots from Dick Stacy, though. You can't take that away from him, but...
That first shot is so sick. Because you're used to having crosshair placement at head height. To switch up verticality mid-flight and land that shot is just... That's some crazy tracking. Well, this should be a gimme. Grayhound with such a vast lead, 10-round buffer. Why would you even bother going in for any kind of force? You know, you've got plenty of time to play with. If you can get a bomb block plant, that's a really solid outcome, actually.
Yeah.
Bomb plant and the kill with full Glocks, yeah, they'll take that.
Love to see it. Diffuse comes in, MVP at least gets away with a conversion after winning pistol rounds. But as you said, no investment on the side of Grayhound. They got the bomb plant. They're going to be buying up in this one. You're looking surprisingly gloomy for a team that's up 13-4. I guess he just keeps his energy in until the round would start flying on the board once more.
I guess it's just a bit of focus. You know, you don't want to take your eyes off the ball.
That's very true.
Take anything for granted, because that's where teams like MVP can punish you. Yes, they've had a very poor performance. There's no doubting it, but Grayhound did say, and I think Neil had some interview beforehand saying that he did fear Zeta. That MVP definitely did have some solid players on their roster.
And he's definitely right. The problem is we haven't really seen them show up in a big way so far.
So Grayhound able to supplement an AWP with some Kevlar, plenty of nades, plenty of firepower as a result of that plant and the kill in the round prior. MVP on the back foot to an extent, but they're playing pretty standard on Dust2, the 2-1-2 formation. It's HSK that's down in CT. Smoke over. This is something we really didn't see MVP do a great deal. If they were going to come on catwalk, they didn't have this smoke. They didn't have this play.
I was about to say, more utility used on a catwalk push than MVP did for their entire half. And yeah, here we go. The follow-up flashes and whatnot are going to come out as well. HSK might have spotted one drop down. He's going to focus on catwalk still, though. It's the first one, but Malta being able to push forward. And you can see how much of a difference it makes, right? Okay, Sicko gets a little bit fortunate to find Zion through the smoke, but just the space that you're giving for Malta in that scenario. You've got the corner smoke, you've got the flashes down for him as well, and that's himself an easy kill on anyone who's playing in slope. Alleviates so much pressure on you for the rest of the players moving up through cat. Exactly.
If you compared a catwalk take from MVP side by side with Grayhound Gaming, it's night and day.
Oh yeah, no, you'd think if there was like a Guess Who challenge, you would imagine that whatever MVP was doing, it's like, okay, this is like from my matchmaking stack. Something to that effect, because everyone's just running out and hoping for the best, and then you see a Grayhound actually doing all the proper things. We'll see if MVP can actually hold on to these two weapons as they move forward. Malta's definitely making a lot of noise. That's going to give Zeph plenty of time to prepare for that duel. So he should survive, but more importantly, Grayhound gets to 14.
And they have control of the economy too. 10-round buffer once more. MVP, they've got a long journey ahead of them. HSK, it's a decent enough position, but it's always going to be one and done, and that is the shot that you're talking about with Sicko, perforating the smoke. But in this case, they kind of made their own luck.
Yeah,
by the way they played the round, like, you're always going to be in with a shot at those kind of frags.
100%. So long pressure is going to come out from Grayhound. Zion's been able to make it down into pit, but HSK is not so lucky. Response is there. Now he's all alone. He needs to buy time.
Molly down means he can't push back up against help his teammates. Point blank range. Zeta won't be getting it on the second time of asking, and he has to push through the Molotov to try and help his teammate out desperately, but he gets there too late.
Is it actually going for that corner with the scout after getting the tag instead of just trying to finish him off with a pistol? Out of deal stacks 1v2. Some damage being done to Dick Stacy at the very least. And he does have a defuse kit too. Doesn't want to throw out any nades early on to give away his position. You can see a lot of the eyes trained over towards Catwalk. Not going to matter. It's unfortunate. Again, just getting the dink with the AUG onto Urkes is not going to be enough. Grayhound, map and match point. Looking to secure themselves a spot in the upper bracket finals.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head as well on that 1v2. Doesn't want to throw a flash up in the air or a nade because there's no call where a player's dinked because they weren't. They were both pretty healthy.
Yep.
So all you're going to do then is telegraph your position, and it's gone from bad to worse. Sicko, I think that's the first kill we've actually had through the double doors from T-Spawn because that it just didn't have that many ops at his disposal.
Yeah. The couple of scout shots he poured into the wall didn't really amount to much of anything. Urkes is just going to continue on the rampage here for Grayhound. 5v3.
It's looking like this is going to be all she wrote for this best of 3 MVP PK. Have 2 players left. Standing between Grayhound Gaming and another victory, another flawless victory at that. Zion spots the shadow, does convert with the kill, able to dart away, but the bomb is heading towards the B side. He's going to try and cut this off, though, in transition. Won't be able to do it, and his teammate's gone down. Now, they would have known that he was last seen in mid, so it stands to reason he'd be here. And Grayhound Gaming comfortably take the 2-0. They move one step closer to the major.
Yeah, with that, I think they guarantee actually spot for a play-in as well. Worst they can do at this stage is third, right? So for them, has to be a pretty large step in the right direction. And so far, the big fact that they haven't really ran into that much resistance on their path to this stage has to, well, really just solidify their mark as favorites in this tournament. MVP, not quite the showing that we wanted to see out of them. They're still going to get more chances to rectify that, but I think all the focus needs to lie on Grayhound for now.
Am I right in thinking Grayhound have not